Hey friends, welcome back to Sun Cherry Farm. My name's Lisa, some people call me Cora, and today I'm going to do a garden tour, but before I do that garden tour, I want to make a tomato sandwich for my breakfast. I usually use wheat bread, but today I'm out of wheat bread, so my daughter had bought this bread for my grandson because my grandson definitely does not eat wheat bread. So I'm going to have my tomatoes on regular white bread. I was thinking about using this big tomato, but I have quite a few of these smaller. They're called Glacier tomatoes, and when it's just me, I could probably just use 2 of these smaller tomatoes, the Glacier, and they will be just fine, and I won't have any left over. So I've actually had a couple of tomato sandwiches with the smaller ones already, and they taste great. I know a lot of different people like different brands of mayonnaise, but here in the South, I think you could probably ask 99% of the people, and if they are from the South, they're going to say Duke's Mayo. Now I do prefer the big sliced of the tomatoes, but like I said, these Glacier tomatoes taste great. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just probably the larger tomato just looks better. Duke's Mayo. And I don't know about you guys, but I love pepper on my tomato sandwich. And then, I don't know, I probably overkill it. Used to, I would use the Morton iodized salt, but since I found out about this Celtic Sea Salt, and I got this on Amazon, I'll put a link in the description, but since I found out about the Celtic Sea Salt, I just prefer it now, and I use it for a lot of things, but it is really good on a tomato sandwich. The joys of summer. You ever feel like blah, it's too hot, I do not want to go out and work in the garden? Well, the only other options is doing it early in the morning or late in the afternoon. But today, it's not early morning, it's probably about mid-morning. It's almost afternoon actually. But I have to come out here and pick a few things, so I wanted to go ahead and do my garden tour as I do. This is the Sun Gold cherry tomato, and they are doing great. They are delicious. I pick probably well, I do come out just out every day and pick, you know, what few are on there, but at least every 2 days, if I don't make it out every day. This is the glacier tomato plant, and I didn't tie it up, I just sort of let it go. Sometimes we just have to let things go. But this one is a red tomato, so those are not quite ready to pick yet. And then over in that corner is Sweeties 100 red cherry tomato. And I picked these last night, so some of these are almost ready again, and I'll probably pick those later this afternoon. I'm not going to pick anything right now while I'm doing the garden tour. This here is my strawberry plants. Got a lot of runners coming down on each side, especially on the back side. I have plans on taking these out of here and putting them over here behind my blackberry plants, because I have an area there that I just want to put them in. So, because I'm wanting to take that container this fall and have probably lettuces in it. So I just went ahead and pulled up the kale that was in this container and the spinach, and I put the spinach over here. I'm hoping to get some seeds out of that, and I will come back and I'm going to just plant one thing in here this time. I'm not going to plant kale and spinach. It will be probably one or the other. This one here, I still have the red romaine. I know it doesn't look really like red romaine, it looks more like green romaine, but I still have that in this container, and I'm going to be using it for seeds. I actually just touched one a few moments ago and a few seeds fell off. So in the other side I do have some Greek oregano and basil, so I may end up transplanting those out of there. Not quite sure yet what I'm going to do with that. I will have a link to these raised bed containers in the description down below if you think you're interested in purchasing one of them. This here tells you if it needs more water. So usually when I have it watered well, it's probably like right in this area. I would say that was the optimal. It does have a little spout on the end that if you get too much water in there, that you can let the water out. Right now I have it under the roof of my deck, but I have my strawberries on that end, so if it was to ever get too much water, I could let some water out. This bed had red leaf lettuce in it, and I think it may have had green romaine in it, but I went ahead and pulled everything up out of this plant, this raised bed planter. And I took the red leaf lettuce seeds and I did go ahead and sprinkle them in here, but I have not watered it yet. I'm going to look and see when is going to be the proper time to water it, but I did sprinkle the seeds all over the top of here. That's the reason there's no water in here right now. There's no moisture. If you've been watching my videos, you have seen that this one tomato plant here in this pot was looking like it was burned. I went ahead and pulled every single leaf off of here because the tomatoes were looking good, and I've been pulling them off of there and eating them, and they've been fine also. They taste great, but I have no leaves on there. Not sure if you have been watching my videos that contain the butterfly bush, but it has grown a couple of feet since the beginning of the garden tours. We've not been getting a lot of rain, so I've been coming out and watering. I'm not really sure how the corn is going to turn out, but I do have some corn that's making. You can see the corn silks there, and it is on several plants on this side. I haven't really seen any on the other side. I planted 2 different varieties here. I planted candy corn and peaches and cream, and I'll be honest with you, I don't remember which side was which. I can probably Google some photos of candy corn. I'm almost thinking that this side over here is candy corn, just because I was looking yesterday at something, and I'll show you as soon as I find it. Okay, so we are getting some corn silks there. So it's probably still making. I just have to give it some time. But if you've watched my other videos, you have seen where I said that I planted the green beans with the corn because the green beans will crawl up or climb up the corn stalks, and that's what they have been doing. And this is right why I was thinking this was candy corn. If you see that, it's like a couple of different colors there. Not sure if this corn is really going to make or not. So I have had successful corn in this area in years past. And see, here's like a bunch of green beans here. I just need to pick those. Those are Blue Lake pole beans. They also have, Blue Lake also has a variety of bush beans. So I just need to get out here and pick my green beans. Here I have Crowder peas, and I know that Crowder peas are supposed to be like a cool weather crop, but for whatever reason, and I'll have to look more into this, it may not be just a cool weather crop, but they're starting to make now. And then I have some California Wonder green bell peppers. I have 5 of those planted here. 5 of the California Wonder green bell peppers, along with this whole row of Crowder peas. I did go in and pull the brassicas out that did not produce for me. So, not sure what I'm going to put back. Well, I am sure. I'm sorry. I will be planting Brussels sprouts on this right side after I'm going to be planting the seeds within the next week, and I'll do a video on that. You're supposed to do Brussels sprouts in Zone 7B between July 15th and August 15th. And on this end here, I have beets, red beets. So maybe I am going to get some red beets out of that. And I almost forgot, I have my spaghetti squash here, and I did learn after my first video where I pulled those, pulled them when they were green, that you're supposed to wait till they're yellow. So I'll probably be pulling those after this video. And here I have my purple potted beans. They have done great on this cattle panel arbor trellis. Here where I pulled up my garlic, I have planted some jalapeno peppers and some more green bell peppers because I love to freeze the green bell peppers. And this is my first time actually growing jalapeno peppers, but my daughter, the reason I did it is because my 17-year-old loves to make stuffed green bell peppers. Stuffed jalapeno peppers. So these 2 plants are for her to cook for us. I have a squash plant here in the middle that still has not produced, and I'm not sure what's going on with the squash this year in my garden because I've talked to others and their yellow squash has been producing. I have spoke with one person at work and they said that theirs is not producing. I don't know if it's the bees not pollinating, or I'm not really sure. So I don't know what's up with that. If you guys know what's up with it, please put me a comment below. And I have 5 okra plants here that have recently started to creep up. So I'm waiting on those to get big enough to start producing for me. Actually, it looks like there's a couple trying to produce right there. I'm sorry, my shadow is in the picture. But they're really too small to produce, but we'll see what happens with that. And here I have a lot more of the purple potted beans. I'm probably going to let some of these dry out on the trellis so that I will have seeds for that. And this is just the backside view of the garden. I do have some spaghetti squash there that when they turn yellow, they'll be ready to harvest. And there's one actually hanging there. I came along the backside over here and put some cardboard down because the grass was growing up, and then I put these hay bales, or actually straw bales, on top of the cardboard to hold the cardboard down. I'm hoping that I can prevent the weeds from climbing over into that raised bed. Here I have my row of tomato plants, and I have several different varieties. If you have watched my other garden tours, you will see this first one here is a money maker. Finally got one red on there to pick. I am probably going to taste that in the next day or so. I'm going to pick it today, but I'm probably going to taste that one and see what it tastes like. I'm sort of doing an experiment here to find out which one produced the best, which one grew the most, and you know, just overall which one does the best. So that's what I'm going to plant from here on out. I might, you know, do some other experiments with some other ones, but so far I have liked the big beef. It turned red first, and it was very good when I had a tomato sandwich with it. This one here is another sun gold, just like the one that I have up on the deck. This next one here is another glacier, just like I have up on the deck. The sun gold is a cherry tomato. The glacier is like a medium-sized tomato. And I wouldn't necessarily say medium, it's small to medium. And something has been getting into it. I'm not just gonna show you the good on this video, I'm gonna show you issues also, because every garden is not perfect. If you will look at these, all of them but one. This one looks like it was a double bloom. It looks like it was a double tomato, and that one there looks like it was a double tomato too. But this one looks fine, and this one looks fine. All the rest of them look fine, but it just looks like some of those were a double tomato. So it looks like there was 2 double tomatoes on that plant. That is a money maker. This one here is a big beef. This one is the one that I got my first red tomato off of. And like I said, it was delicious. I will definitely be planting more of this big beef variety. This one here is a celebrity. I'm going to pick this tomato today. I think the tomato that's on my counter is a celebrity also. And this one here is an early girl. You can see I've got one blushing there. I got a couple more blushing. That one actually is almost ready to pick. And then this one here is a big boy. And I haven't gotten anything off of these last 2. The early girl or the big boy, haven't gotten one off of them yet. So, but there looks like there's a couple ready to be picked. This here is my sweet potato plant that I put in a pot. Not sure how that's going to turn out. I've been watering it. I probably didn't water it enough. This bed, this raised bed here is my asparagus. And this is my first year planting these. I planted those as crowns, and there will not be no harvest this year or next year, but the 3rd year I should be able to harvest those. And I'll have to rewatch the video. At a certain point, I'll cut all that fern off, and it's sometime either fall, winter, but I'll do a video when I get ready to do that. This here is my sugar baby watermelons, and I have 4 about this size on this plant. It was actually like 3 plants that I planted into one right there, and then I was just letting it spread out around the raised beds. That is my onions, and I'm going to be harvesting them probably at the end of this week and putting them on the drying rack. When they fall over like that, it's time to harvest. I also have sweet potatoes here. I was going to take those out of there and put them in this pot so that I had two alike, one over there and one over here, but I never did get around to taking them out, and it looks like I might get a good harvest out of those because it seems like they're thriving. And then what I did 3 days ago in this pot, I went ahead and planted some pie pumpkins in there. On this back side, I did the same thing as I did on the other garden. I put some cardboard down, hoping that the grass doesn't grow over into the mulched area. These 3 spots, I had planted cantaloupe at the beginning of the season, and some slugs got the seedlings as they first started growing up. So 3 days ago, I also put pie pumpkins in those 3 spots. And I've been watering them every day, waiting on them to come up. On the back side of the tomatoes here, I have 2 rows of potatoes. I did dig up some red ones and some white ones, and I still have more to pull up. Oh, these here are tomato plants that I started from suckers. So when I was pruning the tomatoes there on the front, I pulled off a couple of big suckers, and I was like, well, I'm just going to stick these back there where the potatoes are and just see how they do. Honey, they're growing. We'll see what happens with them. The apple tree is doing good. Actually, we might walk over there just a moment. I did want to show you the herb garden that's in the old wheelbarrow. So let's just walk over to the apple trees. The apple tree seems to be doing fine. The apples are getting pretty big. I'm hoping that no insects get to them before it's time to harvest. Apples don't usually harvest until August, September. So hopefully I won't have any issues with that. Let's see how the grapes are doing. The grapes have leaped over and hung on to this apple tree. So I've got a bunch there. I think that's the only one that's actually jumped over, but I think the majority of the grapes are on the other side. Not really sure why they're not really making on this side. This actually may not be the year for grapes. Unless something's getting them. That's the only other thing I can think of. Because there's a bunch right there. And here's a few bunches right in here. So I'm not really sure what's up this year. Because usually, or maybe they're just hiding from me. But usually I have a lot more than this. So. And the peach tree didn't produce this year. When it comes the right time, I'm going to come in here and clean out the middle. I'm going to prune the middle on this. There is a peach right there. Not really sure if you can see it, but I think there's like 3 more on here somewhere. I just don't see them right now, but they should have been of size, almost ready to pick for this time of year, and it's just not happening. And this is the other side of the blackberries. So I came out the other night and picked quite a few, and I think there's only going to be a few more to be picked on this. So basically all I do is come out and pick what is ripe and eat them. So this is the end of my garden tour today. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you learned something. If you didn't, but you could teach me something, please leave me a comment. And if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to share it with your friends through social media. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button.